Hey everybody, DeLongshot Signatures here. Wanted to do a video discussing all of the prospects that I've been able to get back for the upcoming NHL entry draft. I was able to put a lot more focus into it this year, sending a lot of international requests uh, and getting quite a few players back. A lot of them that are projected to go in the draft this year. The NHL draft works a little bit differently. I haven't looked up exactly how it's changed over the years and what the exact rules are, but you are eligible more than once. So I think it's once you're 18 by a certain date, you can be drafted. So you can be drafted as a 17-year-old, but as long as you're 18 by the start of either training camp or preseason or something like that, you're eligible to be drafted at that point. And then I believe you get 4 years. At least I know that's how it used to be drafted. And if you go undrafted all 4 years, then you become an undrafted free agent. You can sign with any team. Um, I'm not 100% sure if that is still the case, but I do know a lot of these guys aren't just 18-year-olds. There's 19-year-olds. There's 20-year-olds. And of course, younger prospects are going to get a little bit more of a look because you have a little bit more time to develop them. And generally, if they are draft worthy at a younger age, they usually tend to be pretty good prospects. But sometimes you don't really get to see the ceiling of a player until they're a little bit older at 19 or 20. So we're going to start off here with the forwards, and I'm going to go in order based off of the NHL's Central Scouting draft rankings. All of these rankings in green are for the North American skaters only. I did not have any of the European players. Didn't send out to any this year. And those guys have their own separate rankings. So just because someone is, 16th on the rankings in this doesn't necessarily mean that they're a first rounder. They're just the 16th overall forward from North American team. So we're going to start off with the number 2 ranked player, Logan Cooley, from the USA National Team Development Program. For whatever reason, I kept thinking he was defenseman. I don't know why, but he is a center, as are most of these players. And they usually, centers don't stay that way. Once they get into the NHL, they get moved to one wing or the other, depending on their handedness and, what they're capable of. But with him being considered such a high prospect, odds are he'll be brought in, maybe starting off as a winger just so he can get some ice time. But they'll want, whoever drafts him will want him to be a center eventually. He is ranked number 2 for the NHL Central Scouting. But the website that I used, lines.com, to get some projected draft positions, he is projected to go 3rd overall, but there have been arguments for him to go 1st overall as well. I kind of doubt that he goes 1st overall. Shane Wright, the number 1 draft prospect, is just a really solid player all around. He's got a different skill set, but I think it'll translate a little bit better to the NHL, at least quicker, and probably has a more longevity projection for his career. But Logan Cooley is supposed to be a really, really good player, so I'm excited to see where he ends up. Then we have the 13th ranked player, projected to go 62nd, David Goyette. He's got himself a really nice signature. Encapsulates everything within the first letter of his name. Then we have the 16th ranked North American skater, projected to go 37th overall, Nathan, I think it's Gaucher or Gaucher. Some of the French names from the QMJHL I really do not know how to pronounce. I think he's a little bit more of a physical player. I don't remember what size he is as far as like height and weight and everything, but I think that's why he has even though he's got a worse ranking than Goyette, he's got a better projected overall draft position, and he just might be more NHL ready, but maybe his ceiling isn't as high, but still pretty close to that. Then this one came back just the other day, 35th overall and projected to go 58th, Danny Zhilkin from the Guelph Storm. Then 45th ranked center and 60th, projected to go 60th overall, Matthew Portress. Then the 59th ranked skater, projected to go 128th overall, Cedric Gwendon. Then 149th ranked skater and projected to go 40th overall. So real big difference there between the NHL Central Scouting and Lines.com projection. Ruslan Gazizov. He is just considered a forward, so he can basically play all three positions. That might be more enticing to some teams that maybe don't have a certain need, but just need a good player at the forward position. And the fact that he could really play any of those positions adds a lot more value. Think like a utility player in the MLB, and if you're not a great team, you can use someone that can just fill in any spot. Then we have the only defenseman that I was able to get back this year, and it was a really cool return. He's ranked 173rd overall in the ranking, and at this point you start getting to players who are maybe a fringe 6/7th rounder. He's projected to go undrafted, but just because he goes undrafted this year doesn't mean he doesn't have a good shot to go next year. We got Jacob Guevin, who not only signed a couple of photos for me, but also sent me a signed broken stick, I guess used from either a game or practice. But really, really cool of him to do that. Then we have the 202nd ranked skater, Justin Coate. I think projections on him were a lot higher at the beginning of the season. Not sure why he fell off. Then the 215th ranked player, projected to go undrafted, Landon Sim of the London Knights. And then we had one player that is eligible. He is currently unranked and was not projected to be drafted at all, and that is Hunter Strand. I do believe he is scheduled to play in college or committed to play in college. I could be wrong about that. I might be confusing him for another player. But he was part of the U.S. National Development Program, and we'll see where he ends up in the long run. Then we'll get to the goaltenders. Again, all of these guys are based off of the North American rankings, and because of that, even top 10 ranked goaltender may not even be drafted potentially. Plus, there's a lot of interest in European goaltenders with the rise of guys like Igor Shesterkin and Andrei Vasilevsky, both of those guys Russians. But there's a lot of international interest in the goaltending. So the first one we have here is the number 1 ranked North American goaltender, Tyler Brennan. He's projected to go 45th overall. That's the other thing with goaltenders. You'll rarely ever see them drafted in the first round unless they're like a once-in-a-generation prospect. And even then, it can still be kind of iffy on whether they deserve to go there or not. It's kind of like a running back. They're really important to a team, but you really don't know how they're going to end up. But the reasons why you draft them later are different, in that a running back you can kind of substitute with anyone else, and they'll usually have a lot of success as long as your line is good. Whereas with a goaltender, you really do not know what you are getting when you draft these guys. Then we have the 5th ranked goaltender in North America, projected to go 162nd overall, Mason Beaupit. Then we got the 11th ranked goaltender, projected to go 211th overall, Braden Holt, not to be confused with former, who do you play for? Vancouver Canucks and Washington Capitals goaltender Braden Holtby. I think he just recently played with the Dallas Stars. Then we get to a lot of undrafted guys, but they are still, up there in the rankings. So the 13th ranked goaltender, Vincent Fillion. Then I've got the 14th ranked goaltender, Nolan Lalonde. Number 16, Patrick Lever. Number 17, Charlie Schenkel. Number 18, Jacob Oster, who is projected to go 185th overall. Then we have the 25th ranked out of they only rank 32 goaltenders for the NHL Central Scouting, Matthew Keeper, which is a great name for a goaltender. Then I had a couple of unranked players. This guy, Caden Imbreko, I know he's committed to play college next year. I think he's going to Colorado College. Yeah, Caden Imbreko. There were some pretty high projections of him earlier in the season, so I don't know if his play fell off or something like that, but maybe he'll get a shot after playing some time in the NCAA. And then one that was unranked in the Central Scouting, but was in the draft projections from Lines.com, projected to go 164th overall, Rostislav Elias. So was able to get back quite a few, really good prospects for this year's draft. And again, these are just kind of projections. This is all going to change over the coming days. I believe the NHL has its combine. If it hasn't had it already, I think they have their combine soon. And then the draft will be, I think July 7th or 8th is the first day. A little bit later this year, of course, with the delayed start to the season. And then they'll get into starting the next season on time, how it has been historically. And just because these guys are projected to go undrafted, especially the goaltenders, there's always been really big runs of goaltenders towards the 6th and 7th round because you really don't know where they're going to end up, and they're a lot like MLB players in that it can take years and years for them to develop in order to be NHL ready. So you can draft someone at 18 and not even, have them in the NHL debut until they're 25. So you draft a guy like that in the 6th round, you hold on to his rights, keep signing him to two-way deals and developing him. You can have yourself a starting goaltender for a few years, but way down the line. It's very rare, especially now, to see goaltenders make the league within a couple of years. So guys like Spencer Knight and Carter Hart are the exception, not the rule. So any of those guys that are projected to be undrafted, they could be slipped in as a late 6th or 7th round pick. And then you can kind of say the same thing for some of the forwards that are on here as well. But scouts are a little bit more, particular and precise with their rankings, their own internal rankings. So and a lot of teams kind of copycat each other. So you'll see a lot of teams having kind of the same draft board. Not so much in the later rounds, but if one team kind of views a guy as undraftable, it's pretty rare that you see them be higher up on someone else's board to be considered like, oh, this guy's a 4th round pick when this team is considering him to be undrafted. But again, a lot of those guys could slip into the later rounds, and even if they are projected to get drafted, they could slip out and have to re-enter for next year's draft, or maybe they do get drafted and they don't sign with the team and they re-enter the draft in a couple years. It's a little bit more common than it sounds like it would be. But let me know what you guys think. Again, these were all sent to the players' respective teams. A lot of them will be returning to their teams, the OHL. Some of them will be going to college. It's the weird thing with the North American skaters. That's pretty much the two avenues you've got if you don't make it to the NHL. Whereas with international players, you can just put them directly in the ECHL, AHL, and develop them within your own system, not the team that you drafted them from or the college that they're going to. But thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Helps me out a lot. Best luck with your guys' collecting. Take care.